How have you been?
Happy, relaxed. Good, good, good.
So really, thank you for doing this for us.
Yeah.
We, I'm very fortunate to know you, but not so many people probably are very familiar with you and what you do.
Yeah.
A little bit about your background.
Yeah.
So I wanted you to take probably a minute and share a little bit about who is Anthony for someone who has never met Anthony.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, for people who don't know me, I'm just a guy you see every day on the road. But for a lot of people, I would be described as an entrepreneur, um, an actor, um, um, you know, um, an engineer, um, and someone who likes to push himself beyond his natural boundaries and has tried a lot of things and is still trying a lot of things because I'm always willing to learn. That's the kind of person that I am.
Fantastic. So I think we met like 3, 4 years ago.
I would say around, yeah, more or less 3 years ago now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know we've shared a couple of things. We've all been trying entrepreneurship. We've been all hustling here, left, right, trying to see either how we can impact the world,
Yeah.
or how we can support some of the people who do the things that we resonate with.
Yep.
So, and I know from a professional perspective, sometimes we all go through some unexpected challenges.
Yeah.
Where you probably have a really good vision of what you could become and what you could do together.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment you try or the moment you take a break, things kind of change a little bit.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit with us some of the challenges you faced when you wanted to kind of restart your career after education, after entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
How did that go for you?
It's always really bittersweet for me because my path into entrepreneurship was not even because I actually was like, oh, I'm gonna stop everything and go into entrepreneurship. I used to work as a mechanical engineer. I used to build electric trucks, and I was enrolled in the master's program at Queen's University. So I left that to go pursue the master's. Um, you know, being my nature, I took advantage of everything the program had to offer, and I came in with this idea of social entrepreneurship, and it was around circular economy and repurposing old vehicles in sub-Saharan Africa to make them electric. So it was a continuation of my previous experience, but I wanted to use it for social good. So I participated in some competitions, won some grants, and that took me over to Nigeria for about, say, a year. And so if we add the master's program, which was like another year, I was out of an actual job for about 2 years. And in that time, yes, I took some internships here and there that aligned with the program, but it was not like a complete full-time stable job. So um, that coming back uh, and trying to get a job actually proved more difficult than when I graduated from school. Yeah. In 2017 from my engineering program. And, I'm a very fun person, so that helps me a bit. But to an employer, I'm a risky hire because you see mechanical engineer here, and then you see masters of management, innovation and entrepreneurship, and then you see this internships that were part of my program. There were business development, kind of some sales in there because that I was trying to ensure that I apply what I learned in my program to a real world setting. So I was very strategic about my internships. But employers never saw it that way. They saw me as someone that bounced around, and I could not for the life of me communicate that value to them. And because of my nature, I would, I thought everything was just to be like likable. But during interview and during even how you structure your resume, there is a way you want to communicate that to a prospective employer, and they had problems understanding that. I would get someone that would call me and be like, who are you? I see that you're an engineer here. You've done business development. You've done venture capital. What is going on here? And I had to explain. And sometimes they, regardless of that, no matter how likable I was, I still won't get those callbacks, and it was beating me down a lot. So that was quite a sad period for me.
Yeah, but I also know that you went through, I think you got a grant from Nova Scotia.
Yes, yes. So part of the Queen's or the MMI program, it allowed me a lot of opportunities, and I was connected through Sherry Houston to a program called the Patty uh, Foundation Fellowship. And basically, that's a program for students in university to actually pursue a passion of theirs. And I was already working on that at that time, so I applied. And this was the project that converted old vehicles in sub-Saharan Africa from gasoline to electric, so that we can use it to provide power to homes. And so I applied. I was one of the 10 students that were selected, and yeah, I was given about almost $45,000 to actually go and implement a project in sub-Saharan Africa. So for a year, that was what I was doing.
So is that a Canadian competition, across country Canada competition, or is it just Ontario or?
No, it's a Canadian program, and so it's there's a foundation, and then they work with a university called St. Francis Xavier University, and St. Francis University has an institution called the CODI International Institute, primarily an international development organization, and they work with partners to really support education and assets-based community development in communities that people decide to go work with.
So like sometimes I get really surprised, like how you can win a such Canada-wide, country-wide competition,
Yeah.
but you can't really convince an employer to give you a job. Yet you are able to compete with like some of the most brilliant people
Yeah.
for in a competition and outperform them and go in another country, deliver,
Yeah.
and still you come back and you try to articulate your value, but it's not really seen or felt in terms of the quality and the value you're going to be creating for your employer. Like I find this very fascinating for me.
I do. I'm just right there with you. For me, I thought I was communicating this to them. Eventually, I found out that I was not, because it is different when you're excited about something and you have all the passion to be able to communicate it. But I found out very brutally that in the job world, sometimes they want you to be a certain way. And each time I come out of that, one job interview and say, okay, I'm going to do something different, when I go to that job interview, then I'm like, I should have done what I did before, but I don't know if what I did before was right. And so it was very painful because, half the time I'm like, what is going on? I was tired for a long time.
Yeah, I think also what's very tiring is that you have to change a lot of resumes, you have to change a lot of cover letters, you have to keep tweaking, adjusting.
Yes.
I think when we met and you were telling me that you are trying to apply for jobs, I was like, man, I wish I had money to hire you. I would just hire you, right? Because I know the kind of quality and the like who you are and
Yeah.
what you bring to a company.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, if I'm looking for someone who should sell something that I have,
Yeah.
I will come to you because I know you have the skills, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, but I find it fascinating. Like employers can run through candidates, pushing the best one on the side and going. I really don't understand what they're usually looking for.
Sometimes it's the same thing for me as well. I don't know what they're looking for because I have worked mainly in startup environment, so I've always worked in very early stage kind of environment, not really in like huge organizations. And so when people take a look at me, or because I try to apply to like big organizations, and so that format and that structure is not something that I was used to. And so employers are looking for someone with like a straight and a narrow line. I had a prospective employer say, look, you have such a very diverse, and clearly you're a confident person, you can speak very well. Where are you going? Right? Like, where are you going? I had someone ask me that, and I had to, obviously, this was after I started later on. And I said, I don't think you should look at it that way, that this is so diverse and it doesn't fit to you. I think it should be valuable because I can see things from different perspective, and so I don't have a direct mindset as to how a solution should take place or how something should be implemented. And I think that should be valuable um, instead of something that you think is a threat. And when it comes to what employers are looking for, employers are trying to de-risk as much as possible to say, if this guy has stayed in this place, chances are he's going to stay in here. But that is usually not the case sometimes, especially with the times that we're living in right now. So that's something that I found out.
Yeah, so when we were chatting, and then I told you that I've started a new company that I want you to be one of our clients.
Yeah.
You didn't hesitate. You told me, what is it that I should do? What made you accept to give us a chance?
Well, prior to that, I've actually tried a couple of other uh, career development coaching service. I think for me, I always believe in investing in like value. I think because that has been part of one of the things I learned at my master's of management innovation and entrepreneurship program at Queens. So I try to think like an entrepreneur as well. What is a good value for my time? And why should I go and sit down and try and figure all this out? So I invested in some. They didn't work because they were trying to box me into an environment, which is what in their right they were kind of right, because that's what the employers were also trying to do as well. They wanted me to fit in a particular box. And I believe that you also being an entrepreneur, I trusted that you were going to take a look at things from a different lens. And I think the coaches, when I read their profile, you could see some of them. I try to look for people that have done something outside. And that's me almost repeating what the employers are doing. But I knew the kind of person that I was. And so I wanted someone that might be able to not look at me and say, you are project manager, you are an engineer. I wanted someone to say, you have such a diverse background. I believe we can do something with this. And that was what I was looking for.
And what type of services did you try from Prosfata?
So early on, I started with almost like an identification, like re-identify who I am and my experience that has led me up to the point that I was sitting with my first coach. And from that conversation, it was clear what type of career path I should engage in that actually speaks to my character, my experience, and my aspirations. And so we engaged in resume. After that first engagement, we followed up with like a resume, and that resume took a while. And I understand why it took a while, because I wanted to have one type of resume that could fit a certain type of like role, or different types of role that has elements of my personality, either it be engineering, business development, or operations, or even venture capital, which is finance as well. So there had to be that balance, and sometimes it's not easy to find roles, but once you start seeing them, they start becoming very obvious to you, and then you can start going after them. So I used the resume. I eventually used the cover letter. I used the jobs like mapping, so skill mapping, understanding the job landscape and the market, also understanding the type of jobs that cling to me rather than what I cling to, and where you can find those jobs as well. And so what that allowed me to do was to have an say like a complete list of resources and job sources that I know that produce these jobs that are tailored to me. So I started going after that. I had one resume, I had one cover letter, and I was able to make adjustments for each one that I applied for. It actually allowed me to be more selective. How to say so? And then later as the interview started progressing, started having like this is what came out in one interview. Um, this is what they asked, and I would always have insights and experienced coaches just help me navigate the part of okay, here is the interview you're going to go for. This is what you should know. You don't even need to memorize them. I tried to memorize them. Coach was like, no, you're already good the way you are. You just have to lean into these questions, and because they're already in your resume and you've done them, it will flow naturally to you. You just have to be prepared for them. And I felt more comfortable in interviews, and so I wasn't speaking out of okay, I'm trying to box myself. I would lean into what I was, and that made interviews actually enjoyable for me.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine that. And so we'll say you tried a job search strategy.
Yeah.
And then you did resume.
Yes.
And cover letter.
Yes.
And then you did skills mapping. Or
yes, we did skill mapping.
Skills assessment.
Yeah.
Labor market landscape.
Yeah.
And then you did interview prep.
Yes.
And then the last one was...
we also did negotiation tactics for salary. And even before that, we also did what we call follow-up. So follow-up template. So the coaches say like there are follow-ups that you should. And this follow-up template is after the interview, you would send like a thank you note, and in that you would understand things that you discussed in the interviews, and you have to reinforce that. And if there were gaps that you saw that you had in that, you have to be like, okay, I'm committed to closing this gap, and this is what I've begun to do right away, just coming out of this. And this one, it keeps you at the top of the employer's mind. About a good number of candidates don't send thank yous and follow-ups, so you're definitely among that pile. And if you iterate certain things that were in the interview, it shows that you were listening, which is very important, and it shows that you're someone who is really interested in the role. So that helps actually push you along, and I could experience that.
And to do that, how many coaches would you have engaged?
I have engaged two. Only two coaches? Two coaches, because they're very, they're very good, and I just stuck around with those two. And so usually the good thing is that if one of them cannot do something, they forward me to another coach. And I think I used another one, but I was very comfortable with the first two coaches that I had.
Yeah.
So if you are saying like two coaches can cover the entire landscape.
Yes.
Because this really ends up being more about building relationships. And so just like every other thing, you build relationships with your coaches, and they understand you as you go forward. And so, you want to keep such people like that, and you never know what could come out of it.
Yeah. Do you remember the names of some of those coaches?
Yes, Tandy was very, very instrumental, and Marlene.
I think,
yes.
Yeah,
those two coaches.
I also go to them sometimes.
I read their bio, and I'm like, yes, you could feel that these are people that could really help you, and you could tell just from the experience and what else they do. And I wanted someone that would be able to speak kind of like my language, and that was why. So I did go through a lot of them, and for my style, I wanted those two.
And how easy it is for you to find the coach or to even book them?
So the good thing about it is that you can search different criteria that you could use. For me, I try to look for like HR, someone that has HR because I want that, but I also want someone who's who has lots of experience. So I pick for that as well. And so I am able to reach out to them actually at first to even message them. Quick response time. They're actually teaching me how to improve my own response times as well. They're very responsive, and you're getting the messages like right away. And you can go in there and you can book, and then once your time is ready, it everything is just so seamless, and you get to join them on the meeting and continue.
And so, where are you now in the process? Are you still looking for a job? Have you been able to do some interviews or get some offers? Where are you today?
So currently, right now, I have accepted an offer. I am just waiting for them to complete the paperwork. Yeah. And so, yeah, Marlene and Tanya were very helpful in that regard as well. They helped me understand what I should negotiate for, what I should leave on the table, what to ask if I hit every roadblock. So, say increase the pay, for instance, and they say we can't do that, and then you say, okay, can you do like a sign-on bonus? Can you do like so you have like a strategy going in so that when you have these conversations, one, doesn't seem like you're stuttering. Two, you're very clear and you sound very confident, like you've really thought about this. And three, you're able to walk away with something. And their goals is you usually will end up walking away with something because if you've reached that stage, they clearly want you, and it would be not good on their part to now have to go back again and start the process. So they would usually try and work something out. And Tandy and Marlene help me understand that that's that psychology too. And if you, as the job seeker, does not know that, you might likely take the first offer that they give you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, let's say you meet someone new and they're looking back at your experience. How would you describe your experience and the process you've gone through so far to them if they are, for example, considering maybe trying to see if there is something they can get or a quality something they can get from the platform?
So the first thing I would tell them is, first of all, like in themselves, they should decide what they would like to do. Sometimes they don't even have to know. That was the thing that was very interesting. Most people will be like, "Oh, you should know what exactly you should want to do." But if I did know that, I wouldn't come to meet you, right? So you should think about what you would like to do. And so I just tell people like, "What would you like to do?" Just start from there. It's a lot easier because now you can go to the coach and say, "Hey, this is what I would like to do." Um, whether it's valid or not, you don't know yet. That's why they're there to experience. And then they can say, okay, this is what you like to do. Why would you like to do it? What led you to think that this is what you would like to do? What did you do before? What did you not like about what you did before? This was very early. Yeah. And they're asking all those questions because, one, they're trying to vet that this is where you really want to go. And they want to understand the rationale because it helps them put the cover letter, your branding, your resume together, which leads to your interview and eventually your negotiation. And so if they don't ask you this very questions that allow you to play with your mind in terms of why you're in this state and what you like to get out of it, then it becomes a lot more challenging. So I'll tell them, think of what you would like to do and then reach out for help and then have a conversation with a coach, and then just from there you will start to see how it unfolds slowly, and that's what I would encourage everybody to do.
We find like in many cases a lot of newcomers They will be wondering how to fit into the Canadian labor market. They'll be wondering what jobs they should go for, and so on and so forth. But they also are wondering whether either they are good enough or not good enough. I find like a lot of us, when we come here, we are very, very excited. And then when the labor market becomes really difficult, and then we get a little bit depressed, a little bit angry, and so on and so forth. And I know there is a lot of people, in many cases, people say, "Oh, Norman, we want to talk to you. We want to talk to you." And I tell them, I don't have all the answers.
Yes.
But we have a network of people who have many of these questions, who have been through this process. And who really know what you should be doing, right? And so when you tell them, let's help you through a coach, I think in many cases they go like, no, Norman, you've done it. We can see where you are. You are the only person who can tell me how to do it. So in those type of scenario, like for someone who's wondering whether a coach can help them, what has changed into how you used to approach the labor market before, job process, interview process, and so on, compared to how it changed? How would you say it has changed compared to how you used to do before, and how you did it after receiving the coaching service?
So that's a very good question, because I think even for me, I fall into that trap of I want to look at the person who is successful and go directly to that person. But there is a difference between when you're able to do something for yourself and when you have someone who is trained and qualified in a lot of cases to help you navigate that. And I think it's very important that sometimes you can be lucky. You could have just been lucky. You could have just been in a in a situation where you knew someone and you knew someone that happened. But to be able to do this using a proven process and systematization, especially in this job market, requires a lot of, one, patience, but two, understanding, and three, clarity of where you want to go to. And that requires a coach. There's no doubt about that. They have, they are in that market, especially because a lot of them have experience in the human resources. And so they are in that industry. They understand what's going on when the market is up, when the market is down. They're like stockbrokers or like fund managers, but just for human resources and labor. And so they are the best ones to be able to help you know what their counterparts are seeing and what they have seen with their experience, and help you transition to that. So I always say, get someone who will help you look at what you have. Right? You don't even need to do anything. Get someone to just take a look at it, because you could invest all your time and resources in doing the wrong thing. And I think a lot of people don't know that you could actually spend a lot of time and resources doing the wrong thing. They feel like if you're working hard, then you must be doing something right. And that is not true. And so a coach allows you to invest your time, save that time, and get the maximum output. And that's just it.
Because someone like Marlene has been in this market for probably over 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
So she understands what's changed. She can see what's changing even before it changes.
Quickly, immediately. Like the moment she took a look at my background, it's like, this is a very interesting background. And she was able to help me dissect and navigate immediately.
In your own words, how would you encourage a newcomer to the service? Or what would you say in a few words? These are the benefits I got. I would recommend you probably to enjoy the same benefits, but based on your own experience and your own work.
So for me, I will start with, as a newcomer, don't try and figure it out by yourself. That's usually the worst way to start. I would say, in order for you to use the service, you should have an idea. It's always good to have an idea. That's why it's important to know what you would like to do. Remember, you should know exactly what you want to do. You should just understand what you would like to do. And I say that because sometimes what we might like to do might not be as, lucrative, or it might just be like you want it for the wrong reasons. And this is why the coaches are there. The coaches are there to be an accountability partner, to say why, right? If you don't get this, what, right? What were you doing before? Why did you like what you were doing before? Why do you want to change that to what you're doing now? Why do you even want to stay in the current situation that you have now, right? That's a question. That's a valid question. If you come there and you say, I want to continue doing my job as a project coordinator. Why do you just want to continue being a project coordinator? And it's okay if you want that, but you need to be able to answer that question. And with that experience, they're able to help you. And so I would have a conversation with them. If it leads to a resume, sure. If your resume is all good and it's only little tweaks that you need to make to it, that's okay as well. I'll make a cover letter for you. But where I really find the most value is in the interviews. When they're preparing you for interviews, I find the most value there, because resumes can be resumes, cover letters can be cover letters. But I find a lot of value for me in interviews and salary negotiations.
I've had a lot of people say, like, I think someone told me that he has done like 200 job applications and he has not even had back, even no rejection letter, no feedback whether they received the application for package or not. Someone like that, what message would you send to them?
For me, I would try to take a look at that. I would get a coach to actually look at that. Why do I have 200 interviews, 200 applications, sorry, and not one? And that's the good thing about coaches, is they show you how to utilize the keywords, which will be sent, or which the hiring recruiter like them are always looking for. And so your resume might not even be picked up, right? And if it does, it is possible that some people will read your resume and not just you just be thrown to the no pile. And they are not even sending you some information because they might move forward with only the people they say yes to. And so I would advise such a person to get a coach, take a look, and sometimes it might be a different strategy. It might be a different strategy to say, when you send your resume, maybe you look for someone, the company, and reach out to them directly as well. Try and build like a network effect. That's one thing that I also learned as well. Reaching out, connecting with the people directly, and going. And there's, they'll actually send some of the things that you should look for in respect, because the companies are also trying to fill the role as well. And they're trying to fill the role with the person that they think is the most qualified. But sometimes that's not all that matters. It's the person that shows the most zeal and the most engagement in a role, coupled with the qualifications that would, ultimately help. And they help you prepare for that.
What are the 3 adjectives you would use to describe your journey or your experience or how you feel right now?
Relaxed is one. Relaxed is first one. Knowledgeable, that's another one. And very, very holistic. I would say very holistic. So I would say holistic, knowledgeable, and what was the last one? Relaxed. Unrelaxed. Yeah.
And do you have any feedback that you would like us as the Prosfata team to probably take back or take into account?
I guess implement like a learning system, right? So that we, sometimes it's important for job seekers to log their journey and have everything in one centralized platform. I think it would really help if the resumes that were created by the coaches were on the platform, and on that same platform, somehow they're pulling the jobs into the platform and you're applying. And it also has like a year-long map that you create with your coach as well. this might enable you to stick with the coach. And if that coach, for instance, is not there, and another coach takes over your profile, you can still manage that with that same coach, and that coach can know where you are in that journey. I think it would almost seem like some sort of like a like your own profile, like app that has your career journey, and you can see where you came from, where you started, where you came from, where you are now, and where you're going to, and you can follow that along the way. So that's a feature that I think I would love to see Prosfata have.
And also, like, plus when you get a job, the next thing is to want to grow.
Yes.
That job, right?
Yes.
So as you kind of establish yourself into the role,
Yeah.
you're also looking now to start kind of coming up with a career growth plan or
Yes.
career growth strategy, so that you can kind of determine how you want to either grow in that company
Yeah.
or in that industry,
Yes.
right? Yeah, I think that's a good one.
Or even if you want to change industries, it's okay.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing would be it's a lot easier to take action and follow through when you can see the bigger picture. That's why I said holistic, because it requires a very complete approach, knowledgeable, you know what's happening, and relaxed. It actually allows you to be more relaxed, because the best time to look for a job is when you don't need one. That's number one, right? So you can be relaxed while looking for a job. You can negotiate from a position of strength, which is always a good position to be in.
And how will you describe your coaches?
My coaches are very knowledgeable. I'll give them that. They're very knowledgeable. They're always messaging me. How did it go? What's going on? They hound me. All right. So I love, it means they care. And they really want to see me succeed. And I know Tanya spent like time even outside, like even at night, when I was like, oh, I have an interview and I booked it for the next day because I don't want to, let it go. Then it's like, no problem. Just give me like, 30 minutes, 1 hour. Let's get on a call and then let's just flesh it out. So I would just send it to her. So they have very quick turnaround time, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, and I would say, like, if not for Prosfata, I would have not been able to land my current job. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, really appreciate.
Go and create impact.
Yes.
Go and make your employer make a lot of money.
Yes. Bottom line.
Congratulations.
No problem. Thank you.